Hi, friends. This is your pal Scott Garibay, and today I want to clarify a term that I use. This is going to be a channel specific video for the term "you don't have the language for this conversation." I say this to people in my comments, and I think they think it's dismissive or it's insulting. It is not meant to be dismissive or insulting, and I want to explain how that is because I found a perfect example to explain it. So I was listening to I was on YouTube. I listen to most of YouTube like a podcast. I don't watch it. I just listen to it. And so I was listening to New York Times Daily segment, and Natalie Kidroeff was interviewing Keith Bradsher. Okay, so Keith Bradsher is a highly educated, um, highly intelligent trade expert. American. He's also an American, and he's an expert on trade, okay, international trade. And he was talking to Natalie Kidroeff, who is and by the way, Keith Bradsher is Gen X. He almost positive of that, okay? And then Natalie Kidroeff is a millennial, highly educated, highly intelligent, and the reason why is you work for the New York Times. You don't get to work for the New York Times unless you got like 2 degrees and you're super smart, because it's a highly sought after position, right? So then what happens is Natalie gives Keith a very glowing introduction, saying this guy knows more about international trade than most people have ever done. He knows more. He's forgotten more about international trade than most people even know, right? He's like really, he knows international trade extremely well. He is the international trade OG, okay? And so then he says, "Oh, thank you for that nice introduction. By OG, do you mean original guard?" He said, "By OG, do you mean old guard?" So Keith Bradsher asks Natalie Kidroeff, "What do you mean by OG?" Right? And she says, "No, I mean original gangster." And he says, "Oh, I'm not familiar with that term." And I was like, "What?" Like, I was shocked. I was like, this is a level of ignorance that is shocking, right? To not know what the acronym OG means that you would have to have never listened to a rap song. An entire swath of American movies, you never watched one of them, right? Huge segments of the American culture, you don't engage with it in any way. You have never worn a pair of shoes that any sneakerhead would ever give even moderate respect to, right? To not know the term OG is shocking, shocking ignorance, okay? Now, what's interesting is Keith Bradsher is highly intelligent and highly educated. He's read between 500, maybe as many as 2,500 books in his lifetime, okay? He has at least 2 degrees, right? He is extremely knowledgeable. He is not stupid. He does not have a studied vocabulary, right? But he did not know what OG means, which means that his knowledge of entire swaths of American film, entire swaths of American music, entire swaths of American culture is completely devoid, like shocking levels of ignorance, right? And so if you tried to have a conversation with Keith Bradsher about the Kendrick Drake beef, he would not have the language for that conversation. It's not because he's stupid. It's not because he's uneducated. It is because he is ignorant. There's a difference between low intelligence and ignorant. And by the way, I should say low intelligence. He is not low intelligence, right? We should use the term stupid. And that's my point. I was saying he's literally not stupid and people throw that word around all the time. If you disagree with people, they'll say, "Oh, you're stupid. You disagree with me. You're stupid," right? Like, And so we got to get rid of this language. So he's not low intelligence. He's not low education, right? He's very smart and very knowledgeable, right? But he's shockingly ignorant in this area. And there are entire subjects in American culture, in American film, and in American music that he has no language to even engage in a conversation. He can't engage in he's worse than like a toddler, right? Like, because he simply doesn't know, because he's never been exposed to these things. He has not allowed himself to be exposed to those things, right? So that's what I mean by you don't have the language for this conversation. You are just shockingly ignorant of the subject that I am talking about. And the subject I'm talking about, usually when I say this, I've read 1,000 to 5,000 pages on the subject, right? That's when I use this term. And I'm like, I can't have this conversation with you because you don't even understand the basic terms for us to discuss this, right? So no one should try to have a Drake Kendrick beef conversation with Keith Bradshaw. And if I use the term, you don't have the language for this conversation, this is what I mean. I'm not trying to be dismissive or insulting. You simply have a level of shocking ignorance on a specific subject. In my humble opinion, every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider subscribing and have a fetch millennium.